Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. We are going to play another game of Idiot versus Insider. I'm the idiot for now, James is the insider for now. If this is your first time joining us, every single week, James presents us with a slate of games to pick from, his very favorite bets of the weekend. I have to force bet each one of those games, which means I can agree with them, disagree with them, or pivot. And actually, I think for the first time in our podcast history, I pivoted last week and we both hit on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yep. So you had the Ravens and I think you had them at like -3.5, which is a great line. And I had them at 48.5, which it closed at like 51.
Yeah.
Still wasn't enough. I think
it was
77
points.
Or something. 70 points scored in that game.
It was crazy. The over hit in like the first half.
we had a pretty fun time watching that game live on stream. If you want to watch us sweat out these bets, we often do live streams of the bets.
We need to start putting my live bets out. Is what we need to.
I have the capability to do it
on the live streams. Boom! James just did plus 120 on the Ravens. They're down 10.
Just shoot me a text. We can even make a post. It would be fun. I am kicking your ass this year.
You are.
Beat you last week.
Yeah.
6-1 on the season. 6-game win streak between you and I. I am 5-2 against the sports books in week by week, and I'm back off the schneid. I had a losing week last week. Went right back in, winning week the night before with 2 bookend losses on Thursday Night Football, which luckily we didn't make our lock of the week.
We're amazing at betting Thursday Night Football.
Which we're going right back to the well again. And
we are.
It's probably going to be our lock of the week. But so lock of the week is winning. Thank goodness for that. I am beating the sports books. I'm beating you, James.
You are.
It has been a fun time doing it. Saints Broncos, we lost last week, just like we said.
Yep.
We both like the Saints. We got the Saints on this one. Again, I was really surprised by how bad the Saints couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I look back into the numbers and nothing would indicate that was going to happen.
Nope.
So not necessarily our fault. That's just like a football thing. I guess you could say like he had cluster injuries on the defense. So maybe that's what we learned from the situation. But at the end of the day, you're just going to lose those sort of things. And then the game that I hated the most that you made me bet, the Cardinals and the Chargers, I had to pick a side. We were both wrong on it.
How on earth did the Chargers have so many end zone and red zone like opportunities that just didn't make it? I feel like they could have scored another at least, I want to say like 12 points.
I made a note of it. Here. Cardinals came out with a big win. Justin Herbert was 27 of 39 for 349 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we also have the Chargers on this slate, if I'm not mistaken.
That was one of the weirdest games. Yeah, we do.
Well, Chargers couldn't run the ball efficiently. And I just watched their offense operate. I think it's going to be a Harbaugh thing for them. I just think that offense is kind of like from the 70s.
Exactly.
And I just watch Ben Johnson play every single week as a Lions fan. I think to myself, why doesn't every other offensive coordinator just copy and paste those plays? Because obviously the Lions have the guys to do it, but
I think if I was a head coach, truly, I would just copy and paste whatever the best offensive coordinator and best defensive coordinator was doing, and then hopefully get a contract, and then immediately tank so I get bought out.
That's a good gold.
That's
Robert
a dream
Salah,
job.
The old Robert Salah.
I would go be the head coach at Auburn for one season and absolutely tank them.
Way of coaching. Smart move. So we're going to roll right into it. Speaking of Detroit, the Detroit flu is back. The Rams lose 40-10 after playing the Lions against the Cardinals. The Buccaneers, after playing the Lions, lose 26-7 to the Broncos. The Cardinals, after playing the Lions, lose 42-14 against the Commanders, who are good. The Seahawks lose 29-20 to the Giants, and they don't even get right until like 4 weeks later. I think through a bye week, they still sucked.
They still haven't recovered.
Cowboys had a bye week last week, so we didn't get to bet the Detroit flu.
Yep.
We have a potential Detroit flu this game, a super flu, some are calling it, because it's a Thursday night football game coming off of a physical game on Sunday. The Vikings are going to go to LA to play the Rams. Yep. The Rams are 2.5-point underdogs at home, getting 2.5. The over-under set to 48 points. Cooper Kupp probably going to be back for this game, although it is rumored that he is a trade target. What do you got on this one, James?
Well, I don't have any trade rumors for him yet. Though I unfortunately did call something this weekend, which was DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. So
did you say that on the podcast?
I did not. I said that to my buddy at the bar yesterday.
Oh,
I was sitting in Cosm on Sunday night, and DeAndre Hopkins was sitting on the sidelines looking sad. And I turned to my buddy and I go, "How much you want to bet the Chiefs trade for him?" And he was like, $20. And I was like, "Deal."
Nice.
So yeah,
he essentially, from all I could tell, benched himself.
Yeah, he said, "I'm done.
I'm not going out there. I'm not playing with these quarterbacks that you guys got. No. Send me to somebody who cares." And they did.
So that kind of leads into the Cup thing for me as well. Is it seems like wide receivers just bench themselves when they want to get traded.
Interesting.
And I just don't see Cup doing that.
I agree.
Right. So I think he'd be one of those people where we might not get a signal if he's getting traded. But if you see Cooper Cup looking sad and degenerated, or just like, I want to be out of here.
Yeah.
So far, we're like 5 for 5 on like angry wide receiver on sideline getting traded next week.
live bet against what we're about to pick. To your point, I do have this in my notes as well. Cooper Kupp coming off of a legitimate injury, not like a Devontae Adams injury where it was immediately fixed by him going to New York. This is a real injury. He's been out legit for a while now, coming back, looking good in practice. So I think it would behoove the Rams to put him out there and give him 25 targets, 20 catches for 200 yards. And then maybe you go ahead and get that second round pick that you've been asking for. Doubt it, but I think it's
prove that he's worth it.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to prove that he's healthy, because if I'm trading for Cooper Kupp right now and I need a guy, if I'm Tampa Bay or if I'm Pittsburgh right now, and I need a guy to fill in to play that Chris Godwin role, I need to see on the football field that your 31-year-old wide receiver still has it after this high ankle, because it was a high ankle, right? Is that right? And we've seen, especially with the elder population in the wide receiver position, in the running back position, after they come back off of that high ankle midseason, don't quite look the same. So for all of those reasons, I think they use Cooper Kupp a ton.
Sneaky player prop for everyone at home. Cooper Kupp over on receptions. Don't bet yards or anything, but just he's going to get targeted a lot. So
yeah.
But anyway, back to this game.
Go ahead.
I really have mixed feelings about this, because your dad said we need to bet the Vikings. So I'm just betting the Vikings. Vikings minus 150. That one's for your dad. No, there is some logic behind this. So it's the 9th offense versus the 13th overall defense, according to PFF, which is what I use. And then the 22nd offense versus the 23rd defense. So these teams are relatively matched when it comes to both sides of the ball. But
what
Vikings
does PFF have the Vikings defense rated as?
What was that? 22nd.
22nd.
They do.
The Vikings defense. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Big difference in NFL Plus, I bet, huh?
I totally disagree. Yeah, no. EPA per play on defense, the Vikings have been good this season. Go ahead.
But with all that said, I really think the Vikings are going to be the first people who've gotten the vaccine ahead of time and are prepared for the Detroit flu. They're a physical team as well. They were close in that game as well. I feel like most of our Detroit flu games, they have not been close. So I think this team has that ability. And quite frankly, I think that the Rams are just still in figuring it out mode. They truly haven't had a healthy team all year. Don't really know what they're doing on offense yet. Stafford has been struggling mightily with pressure looks, and they've been giving up pressure looks all year because of their offensive line. So if anybody can come out there and pressure them, it's also the Vikings. So Vikings minus 150 is my pick.
Minus 150, you're taking the money line.
I'm just taking straight money line based off of last week with Detroit, the 1-point game.
So you said the game was close, so you think the Detroit flu won't be as big of a deal, even though it's a short week?
Yes. Okay. I think the short week plays into it.
I disagree. Number one, the Rams. Right. Well, it went to overtime. That was week 1. Yeah. So you probably forgot about that. And then the Buccaneers, that was a relatively close game. Buccaneers won, and they still had the Detroit flu. So I would disagree with you there. The Rams, to your credit, very, very lucky. They're the least penalized team in the NFL, which is like, I go into my research. I don't want to blindly bet the Detroit flu game here. So I go into my research. I'm like, that's not good. Rams 12th best in EPA per rush. So they can take advantage of the flu. I think that's a really important aspect of the Detroit flu. It's just really hard to stop the run after you played the Lions 5 days ago because you're beat up. I watched that game very closely. I was very impressed with the physicality out of the Vikings against the Lions last week. But towards that fourth quarter, Those boys were getting pushed back 5 yards. They were not super pumped to even tackle Gibbs, let alone when Knuckles came back in off of his knee injury, knee tweak. We'll see if he's back. Whatever.
Yeah.
They landed some real body blows. So I think Detroit flu is still in for this game. Cooper Kupp, I think will be back. I watched him run routes. He looked good, and I think they're going to pepper him. So I don't think we're going to get like a D-hop. I think we're going to get like Devontae Adams. I think we're going to get the opposite of that, where he's
actually good.
Put out there. He's actually good, and he's gonna catch for a ton of yards. He still had it early on in the season, if that's the question. Like you said, he's obviously good. Had 14 receptions against the Lions, which is still a single game NFL record for the 2024 season. He leads the league in a single game performance in that aspect. But then I look into like the EPA and everything, and I was pretty surprised to hear about the PFF's grading about the Vikings defense. I think
they're not very high on them.
I think they're good. I really do. Vikings second best road defense in EPA per play, which is obviously concerning. But how will they look after the Lions flu? First quarter versus fourth quarter, like I already said. Okay.
Just score all your points in the first half.
Rams D is surprisingly the second best pressure rate in the league during home football games. Sam Darnold, when under pressure, is the fifth worst in the NFL in EPA per pass. Vikings give up the 12th fastest time to pressure on the road offensively. So how much time Sam Darnold has before he's pressured on average when they are on the road, 12th fastest. Okay. Lions beat you up, land those body blows, and they showcase exactly how to beat you. The Lions went 3 straight 3-and-outs in that game.
Yep.
Still figured out how to get a 10-point lead. And then David Montgomery fumbles, scoop, score touchdown.
Yep.
Lions don't blink. Actually move down the field too quickly.
Yep.
Have to take 2 knees, kick a field goal. Game's over. Okay.
I have a question for you about those first drives.
Okay.
Do you think that the fake punt from Detroit was an option play?
No, I think that was called Dan Campbell from the start.
I thought when he ran to the outside that he had a pitch guy. And I thought that was...
Well, he did. They just blew it up.
Yeah.
The Vikings just blew it up. They saw it
I wanted confirmation of that because I saw that live and I was like, oh my God, if he pitched it, that would have been amazing.
Oh. I thought you were saying, did the Lions have an option based off the look?
No, I think he had the option to pitch it.
It was a designed option. However, the Vikings just absolutely blew it up. They were ready for it. They were ready for the fake. They knew that the Lions weren't going to come into to Minneapolis or Minnesota and, give a fake like that. Anyways, Vikings beat you up. And they show the blueprint of exactly how to beat you. I mean, obviously, you'd have to be a rocket science to bracket the double team Justin Jefferson, which is what they did. I mean, you don't have to be dumb buddy to do that. I think also the Rams, they do a really good job of being opportunistic, which is what you have to be, which is how the Lions beat them. Defensively, you got to catch those interceptions that Sam Darnold throws you because he's going to throw you a couple, especially if you pressure him. So I'm going to stick with the Lions flu. Crazy that you are against this. There's no way we can lose this, and there's a way we can both win it. So I'm taking Rams at +2.5, and this will end our schneid on Thursday night somehow. One of us will do it.
That one's for your dad.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So doing the reverse jinx on the Lions, I respect it. However,
it was viewer requested. I had to do it.
My record means more to me than anything on this gambling podcast. Okay. So we're going to stick with that. Moving on to Sunday slate of games. Another game I'm so angry that you made.
Everybody's excited about this game.
Jets Patriots. All right.
This is the greatest matchup you could have. It was 2008.
I think we're going to be on the same. I don't know how we're going to fare on this one. Actually, the Patriots fly home from the United Kingdom after getting moited by the Jaguars. Coaches calling their players soft. Drake May will get his third start. Pats with Jacoby last time these two teams met up lose to the Jets 24-3. Jets get, I think, Hassan Reddick back for this game. Jets also have Devontae Adams, which he didn't have. So the only difference is those two and then Drake May on the opposite side of things. No. And that's a week 3 game. That's not like a week 1 fluke or anything like that.
No.
Patriots are getting 7 points at home. The over-under is set kind of surprisingly high to 41.5, James.
Yeah. Shout out to Bill Belichick for calling out.
Yeah.
The coach. It's the same guys as I had last year, and we were ranked first in run defense. What a statement.
Yeah.
I actually really agree with that. I think you see New England bounce back. I think the players aren't going to play for their head coach, but they're going to be like, F you. I'll show you what I can do.
Yep.
I think the Jets are a absolute shit show right now.
So are the Patriots.
I think Devontae Adams is making that locker room worse. I think there's more arguments.
think?
I think it's just Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams like hanging out by themselves, and the rest of the locker rooms like, I hate these guys. Like,
Okay.
I don't want them here anymore. I think it's utter chaos in New York. I like New England at home. I think they can figure some things out. I think Drake May having his third week, I think he's going to have a good time. I've got New England +7, and I know you're looking at me like a madman.
Yeah. No, I +7's a great number to get, and that's why I hate betting these, but I just can't put my name behind the Patriots right now, especially when we already saw these two go up against each other. And I'm not great at math, but 24 minus 3, I think that's a 21-point differential.
Yeah, that would be correct.
In week 3. I disagree. I think that Aaron has gone through struggles in the past with their team being bad early on in the season and turning it around. So I think that's a testament to him and his leadership. When he got on Pat McAfee show, he says, we got to have fun. We got to stay calm. We can't panic. We can't get on each other. He's not calling people out in the media after Mike Williams is probably going to get shipped out this week. Anyways,
he's definitely getting
he did call him out. So to be fair to you, that is the case. I think this offense gets better with Devontae Adams. Call me crazy.
No.
I think it gets better. I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a big game. Breece Hall had a massive game, if my memory serves me correctly, last time.
Yep.
And I think it's just more of a problem. I think there's more of a shit show going on in New England, having your coach overseas call your whole team soft, and then you fly home with them on a 17-hour flight or
They're
whatever.
not in the same part of the cabin.
That can't be fun, which is even worse because then you're just talking shit about your head coach in the back seat, right? Drake May actually did play against the Jets. I can't even remember exactly why or where or when he was thrust into the starting role or to backup role or whatever. 4 and 8 for 22 yards, not good.
Not good.
I would say, yeah, not good. May in his start went up against the Jags, worst defense in EPA per play, and the Texans 9th best in EPA per play. The Jets defense is 12th, so pretty comparable to the Texans defense in EPA per play defensively. The mobile quarterback, Drake May, obviously mobile quarterback. He's been running all over the football field. The Jets held the Bills to 23 points, and that's their only mobile quarterback that they've faced so far. So I would say that's a checked box on the behalf of the Jets because we all know that I think Drake May and at least at this part of their career and Josh Allen, very different quarterbacks, different offensive weapons on both sides of football.
Somebody pulled this up in 2026.
Yeah. Save this, bookmark this.
Yeah.
Jets can score against bad defenses. The only problem is they can't score against good defenses. And the only defenses they've seen have been good defenses. They've played an EPA per play defensively, the first best team, the second best team, the 6th best team, the 9th best team, the 13th best team, the 14th best team. Patriots, their worst defense that they've played so far, 27th.
Oh.
And may I remind you, that's the game that they easily put up 24 points in. Okay. Jets, -7 on the road.
Wow.
It sucks. It sucks to say that into a microphone, but you've made me force bet, and I can't bet on the Patriots right now, James. Moving on to the so no agreement so far.
No agreement so far.
We're in trouble.
Episode.
We're in trouble.
I picked the best slate ever.
You really did.
I'm here for the chaos.
I hate you for it. Eagles at Bengals. Both teams on a 2-game win streak, both ironically to the Browns and the Giants. The Bengals are 3-point favorites, over under set to 48 points. James?
Well, we have the 13th best offense in the Bengals going up against the 9th best defense in the Eagles. And then on the opposite side of the ball, Eagles looking at 12th best, Bengals looking at 22nd. That's not good. And
not good, Bob.
Anything we talk about here, especially with Cincinnati being at home, not much of a home field advantage. Not a lot of people are going to show up to this game.
They're going to be keeping their hands warm and their mouths warm with that Skyline chili, James.
Exactly. And with all that being said, you know how I love a plus money line. The Eagles plus 125 in a game that I think they could win easily by a couple touchdowns. I'm going with the Eagles in Cincinnati.
Okay. Going with the Eagles money line there, James. Saquon Barkley, averaging 6.1 yards per carry this season. Missed a few games.
Yeah.
Those games that he played against the Falcons, the Saints, which they were still trying to stop the run when they did play the Saints, the Bucks, the Browns, and the Giants. Okay. Those teams in EPA per run defensively, 12th worst, 3rd worst, 6th worst, 2 middle of the pack in EPA per run. So, maybe Saquon's run up against some soft defenses. Well, I've got good news for you. Bengals, also a soft defense.
All right.
4th worst in EPA per run.
Bring out that Charmin.
Eagles are surprisingly 2nd best in EPA per rush a season. Of course, Jalen Hurts, when you have a mobile quarterback, that helps you with that statistic or that metric. But that's including the games that Saquon missed. So that's a team stat. That's not even a Saquon stat. So Eagles can run the ball with or without Saquon. And when we're playing football, what do we got to do?
Run the dang ball.
Run the dang ball and stop the dang run, right? Bengals can't do either of those things. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good news if you're back in the Eagles here. Bengals wins over the Browns, Giants, and the Panthers. The Eagles have wins over the Browns, the Giants, and the Packers. Huh? Packers are pretty good. Philly offense stinks schematically. It's just like another one of those like Harbaugh offenses. I'm talking about Jim, not John. It's disgusting.
The cheater.
It's hard to watch. Just do some pre-snap motion. Just run the plays that the Lions are running. I don't know why it's that difficult. They have the guys to do it. But anyways, doesn't matter because the Bengals defense absolutely stinks. The common opponent in the Browns, they both played pretty similarly. The Giants were easily handled last week by the Eagles. Bengals beat them by 10 at MetLife. So there's that. Either way, Bengals are lucky. 3rd in penalties, 10th in turnover differential. Eagles +3. Not taking the money line, James.
Wow.
Moving on to the next game. Saints at Chargers. Another game that I hate that you made me. I hate you for just the way.
I mean, I got really short analysis on this one.
Me too. Yeah. Anyways, Saints can't stop the run, I guess, out of nowhere. They do have a little bit more time to rest and get healthy. Coming off a Thursday night, although I don't think that they've got reinforcements on the way. Probably last game that we're going to see Spencer Rattler. You got a free dice roll if you're back in the Saints here. That Derek Carr comes back in. I don't know if that's necessarily good news or bad news. The Chargers are 7-point favorites at home. The over's low, set to 39.5. James?
Oh, yeah. So my notes on this are both teams are awful, but not 7.5 awful. It's my first note here. Arizona had the 30th worst defense, and the Chargers could only put up 15 points.
It was really bad.
Saints are 28th. I don't see how the Chargers figure it out in 1 week here. It could just be an effort thing for the Saints defense would be my only question mark, I guess, on the run game. But you're getting a slightly better defense that you couldn't score against on a shorter week. All right. I like the Saints 7.5. I'm still a believer in Spencer Rattler. And I think this team has a great opportunity to win against a mediocre Chargers team.
Okay. So I do have it at 7. I'm sure you can still get it at 7.5 at the time that we're recording. So shop your lines around. Sure. Chargers are lucky, 3rd in turnover differential, 4th in penalties. If Carr can't go, it's likely if Carr can go, it's likely a significant upgrade for the Chargers.
So maybe you're getting a little free roll there. Yeah.
We don't know how it'll look though with Olave and Shaheed out. We haven't seen Derek Carr on the field with both of his main guys out for the game. Saints 5-game losing streak with only 2 wins coming in week 1 and week 2 against the Panthers and the Cowboys. Yikes. Ouch. Chargers beat the Broncos. Huh? And the Raiders. So that's something. The Panthers 7th worst defensively in EPA per rush. The Saints 2nd worst in that metric, which means we are going to see the worst run defense that J.K. Dobbins is going to get to run through. Chargers, which hasn't been efficient. Despite the early on success with J.K. Dobbins, the Chargers offense has not been efficient. However, they haven't gone up against run D this bad yet.
Yeah.
And that's a whole season stat. So that's counting like week 1 against Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys when they had the whole team healthy. Now they're all banged up. It's bad. Chargers defensively, 5th best in EPA per play. Went up against elite defense last week, minus Surtain. Only scored 10 points. I hate to do this. Give me Chargers at home at -7.
Whoa! 2 -7s out of Jamie this week. Man, I picked the right slate.
Cover the spread. Saints aren't going to be able to. This is another good defense that the Saints are going up against. They went up against not Patrick Surtain last week. Both of their guys down, and they still couldn't score. So this is another elite defense coming into town, and all I need is my Chargers to score 9 points to cover this spread.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Jim Harbaugh's got the signals again.
We'll see.
That'll
we'll
probably
see.
help.
Hate betting on Jim. Hate betting on that offense, but the Saints just stink, and it doesn't take a rocket science to know that you just got to run the ball 35 times against them to beat them.
They might stink, but Jim's got a lot more skeletons in his closet.
I'd say.
Should be suspended.
Yes.
Take away that national championship.
I am right there with you, James. Moving on to the Bears
I can't help it. Every time we mention Jim, I got to mention
Commanders. Now this.
Woo.
Now when you sent me this, I was intrigued.
I bet you were.
Bears 3-game win streak going up against the Rams without Coop, without Puka. The Panthers without anybody, offensively or defensively, and the Jags without anybody, offensively. Brian Thomas pretty good. Nothing defensively going on over there in Jacksonville or across the sea over there in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Likely Marcus Mariota game here for the Commanders, which is why the Commanders are 2-point dogs. Over under set to 44 points, James.
Yeah, so basically it's a matchup of great offense versus horrible defense and bad offense versus bad defense. It's quite an interesting matchup. The number one thing that I look at going into this is Cliff Kingsbury's offense, say that 5 times fast, is highly focused around the run.
Okay.
And when Mariota came in, they were still able to run the ball. They're not asking for a ton of crazy passes. Mariota is still a scrambling quarterback, Heisman quarterback, not as good as Jaden Daniels.
I also had that in my notes.
Yeah. Heisman quarterback to Heisman quarterback. I think that especially against the Chicago team, you don't need Daniels in this offensive scheme to succeed at the same level. You're going to see a bit of a drop off, but I don't think you're going to see a major drop off. They also basically got an entire game with Marcus in. And on top of that, they're going to be able to practice this week. I think they'll do just fine. Cliff was still calling the correct plays for Marcus. It's clearly obvious to me that Marcus, A, knows the offensive scheme, but B, fits in very, very well as a backup. Yeah. So I really like Washington in this game. Plus 130. I think their offense keeps rolling. And we see Chicago do the drop off because they're, running high off of their less than quality wins.
Yep. So on that note, Caleb has been playing better. All 3 wins were at home, though, which is interesting. First, third, and fourth worst defense in EPA per play are those 3 wins, and probably the reason why Caleb has been looking a lot better. Bears offense on the road, second worst in EPA per play. Now, a lot of that's going to have to do with the teams that they were playing on the road. A lot of that's going to have to do with those road games coming early in Caleb's career. But second worst is tough to ignore.
Justify, yeah.
That's tough to ignore. Commanders at home are the second best in EPA per play offensively. Okay. Mariota was 18-23, 205, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, passer rating of 132.8.
That ain't bad.
That ain't bad.
That ain't bad, Bob.
Of course, that was against the dead in the water Panthers, so you can't read into that too much, but he can operate the offense on a moment's notice. Bears defense is great, but less elite on the road. At home, they're second best in EPA per play. On the road, they're fifth best compared to other EPA away defenses.
Interesting.
So that's interesting.
Interesting.
They're not quite as dominant on the road.
A little bit of a drop off.
Bears, lucky. Third in turnover differentials, ninth in penalties against. Daniels has been incredible, but a good environment is required to play well as a rookie, which means Marcus Mariota probably going into the best situation he's ever been in his career as a pro. Like you said, he also won the Heisman, similar play styles, so they know how to use them already. Give me the Commanders at home getting 2 points. I'm going to take those 2 points. You take 2 or money line?
I didn't want 130, plus 130.
Plus 130. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next game, we're going to Sunday night. I've been waiting all week for Sunday night. This game is going to be an interesting one. The Cowboys at
snooze fest.
The 49ers, 2-3 win teams. Both of these teams have 3 wins on their record. Cowboys coming off of the bye, coming off of an embarrassment at home against Detroit. Debo coming off the hospital with pneumonia, water in his lungs. That can't be good. Ayuk out for the season with an ACL. The over-under is 46.5. The Niners are still favorites here against the horrible Cowboys, 4 points. They are favored in this game, James.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, as somebody who's had pneumonia, there's no shot Debo Samuel's playing this week.
You think?
Good luck.
Not my area of expertise, so that's interesting
It just feels like somebody's sitting on your chest and you can't breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he could play like one
couple
play,
snaps,
and then he's done for a quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, I got lightheaded getting out of bed when I had pneumonia.
Yeah.
It is honestly one of the worst things you can have. That's like, I mean, it killed one of our presidents. So, John Howard Taft. Fun fact for you at home.
Remember like it was yesterday.
Actually, absolutely. 1712. Don't look it up. I don't know who the Niners are even going to put in. I mean,
I got this answer for you. Pearsall, Jennings, of course, who had one massive game and then sucked ever since.
Right.
And Jacob Cowing, one of my favorite prospects coming out of college. I love Jacob Cowing. He's a great slot receiver. Pearsall is a good compliment to him for what it's worth. White guy, but can stretch the field. So
that really factors in.
So there's your answer. That's who the Niners are going to trot out there.
Mason, maybe playing. Still questionable on a couple websites right now. CMC not coming back. I just quite frankly just look at this and I go, who can the Niners? It's going to be all backups outside of Purdy. I think their left tackle is washed at this point. I think he's overrated. And
the Niners?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he might have a couple tells on whether it's a run or a pass play.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen some of that video, but if you want to look it up.
I looked into it. I wasn't impressed by what I found. Keep going.
I think the Cowboys at plus 185 is some value here.
Okay.
This is going to be a horrible game to watch.
Woo!
You can fall asleep during this one if you want, but I think the Cowboys just might pull this off.
Well, if you're betting it, you'll be staying up, sitting on the edge of your seat, watching these Cowboys try to win.
No, I'm going to be looking at
Cowboys
behind the closed eyes.
3 wins this season over the Browns, the Steelers, and the Giants. So, 49ers, Jets, Seahawks, and Patriots. So nothing to really write home. Pretty similar in strength of wins between these two teams.
Yep.
Defensive EPA per play. The 49ers are 10th best. The Cowboys are 19th best, ranked 19th in that metric. Offensive EPA per play. The Niners are 14th. The Cowboys are 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. Okay. So Niner, check your box. Niner, check your box. With the asterisk, of course, Ayuk, who hasn't even been good all year. Let's be honest. Is that really that big of a downgrade based on what these statistics are telling you? Debo out. He's been out of the lineup all year too.
Yep.
So he's not been real consistent. So a lot of these statistics would indicate that they do fine without Ayuk and they do fine without Debo.
Right.
Okay. I really like Pearsall. I really like Cowing as prospects. Maybe they get a little bit more in tune. I watched every one of Cowing's targets, which didn't take me very long. I think it's like 6. And a couple of them, he's always open. He's just not on the same page with Purdy. Purdy's, of course, having a down year himself, so I can't blame him too much on that. But we could practice, and then you get to go up against this Cowboys defense at home with a new quarterback throwing you the football, also a Heisman winner. I think the Niners will be able to run the ball on these Cowboys. So give me Niners at -4 at home.
Wow.
Cover that spread. And we pulled an audible late here, James.
I texted you this morning.
Told you to frick off. Oh, yeah, at 11.
That's
2 hours before we were ready to record.
3 hours.
Giants at Steelers, Monday Night Football. Monday night. Russell Wilson. Oh, excuse me.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. Look great. We'll talk about it more in a little bit. The Steelers are 6.5-point favorites. Your over-unders at the 36.5, saying the Giants are going to score like 4 points this game. James, what do you got?
Yeah, I thought last Sunday night that Giants Steelers would be a snooze fest, or not Giants Steelers. The Steelers at home would be a snooze fest offensively, and then Russell Wilson decided that he was back in his prime.
Yeah,
that's why Mike Tomlin gets paid the big bucks.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Went lone wolf on that decision, is what he said.
I think 100% we got to bet the over here. These teams have to be able to put up 36 points. There's no way that the Steelers defense might put up 14 on their own. I mean, I think this is just an obvious bet the over. I don't know why it's at 36. I think both of these teams are capable of scoring points, and 36 is one of the wildest lines I've seen in a while.
I was leaning that way, but I'm not convinced that the Giants can score 10 points on these Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that it's likely to happen. How good, going back to your point, how good was Danger Russ?
I don't want to admit it at all, but he looked great.
5th best in EPA per pass.
Crazy.
Out of 30 teams that played in week 7. He was one of the best. Okay.
Maybe it was Sean Payton all along.
Hey. When you have to ask if you're benching your starting quarterback and your response is no, we're sticking with him, always a bad sign. And that's exactly what they're experiencing. Daboll sticking with Daniel Jones. Not a good sign because the team hears that, and the team's already thinking that. And I don't even know who their backup is over there. Probably not much better than what they already got. Either way, team can't be pumped with what they're doing here. Malik Neighbors is a non-factor. Oh, that is actually a good point. Yeah. Probably sent out Drew Lock out there. So
Drew Lock is not a bad backup.
Team wants to see Drew Lock out there. I'm going to go ahead and say that into microphone.
Yeah, that's my bodyguard.
Yeah, that's my bodyguard. Okay. So they're going to be motivationally at a disadvantage here. The Giants, 2 straight games, Bengals and Eagles, they lose. Jets are the 12th best defense in EPA per play. The Giants are the 19th. Okay. The Steelers, 8th best in EPA per play defensively. Giants also have a dumb doofus as their head coach.
A brilliant mastermind.
So hopefully they're down 10 with 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter. They get within field goal range on 1st and 10 because he's so smart.
I mean, you got to kick it.
1st and 10. We got a 50-yard field goal. We're going to take these 3 points now because we got to get at least 3 points to tie this game up. Daboll's thinking he's going to kick that field goal. They're going to miss the onside kick. The Steelers are going to run the clock out. They're going to win by 7 points. So give me the Steelers at -6.5, James. How do you like those apples?
Oh, I think this is fantastic. We only have one agreement this week.
Is that just the Eagles?
Yeah. That's going to be our only lock of the week.
We disagreed on
Vikings,
on the Niners,
on Patriots, disagreed on Saints.
We disagreed on the Commanders.
You took the spread and I took the money line.
Well, that counts as an agreement. We've done that in the past.
Okay.
So we're thinking Commanders
or
here.
Eagles.
We're thinking Eagles here. I think just statistically, the biggest farce in this schedule, the biggest thing that really just didn't make sense, and we were both kind of on the same page as to why we think what we think, is the Eagles and Bengals.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Bengals home field whatsoever. I do, however, care about how bad their defense is.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Saquon's healthy. They haven't played anybody, the Eagles defensively, as far as run stoppers go, but they're not going to face a run stopping team here.
Nope.
And all they have to do is keep it within 3.
Come on.
Let's go ahead and lock it in.
Lock it in.
Eagles at +3. Lock it in. We're going to try and keep that streak alive. We're 4-2, so we can afford to lose one. But
we won't.
It's going to get harder and harder as the season goes on. I feel pretty good about this one.
It gets easier as the season goes on because we get more statistics. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the sports books get those statistics too. I think they might.
No, they
have
don't.
The same accounts
Why would they look at that?
that we pay for premium wise. Yeah, and we can't bet, despite what we said about Mariota, we can't bet on a backup quarterback as our lock of the week. That's just bad practice.
Blasphemy.
That's just bad practice, James. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me as always. NFL Insider James, what do you have to tell the audience?
Have fun. Don't get too drunk. And eat a lot of candy. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I had nothing for that.
Yeah.
I had nothing to say.
I can tell. Especially because I think we're going to have another recording before Halloween. So
yeah, but the problem is Halloween's on Thursday night.
It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Tune in for our live watch parties. Leave a comment if you disagreed with us. If you liked us, leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friend. If you didn't like us, leave a comment. Tell us why you hate us. Share it with your enemy. My name's Jamie Jakes for NFL Insider James. See you next time.